This scary story revolves around a man named Kiba. For a long time, Kiba never believed in ghosts, until one day when he ended up encountering one. Being haunted by the ghost, he decided to see a therapist to have his condition checked out. As the two had finally met, Kiba pointed at a black umbrella at a corner of the house to the therapist, then told him it was spooky. The young male therapist couldn't hide the curiosity on his face. He asked Kiba how the man could be scared by a small umbrella like that. Kiba breathed deeply. He lit a cigarette and then told the young man about an incident that happened to him a few days before. That day, Kiba had an overnight trip. He had to drive through a rugged forest which was rumored to be haunted and mysterious. As he drove to the forest, all of a sudden, he saw an old lady standing in the middle of the road, blocking his way. Kiba couldn't hold his anger as he tilted the window and loudly held at her, but the woman didn't have a look of fear on her face. She chillingly turned around, looked Kiba in the eyes and asked if he had seen her daughter. The mysterious lady continued to bombard Kiba with questions, then hurriedly ran away, leaving him totally confused. As Kiba finally composed himself, he continued with his shipment. As he made his way out of the forest, he stopped his truck by a grocery store. It was already morning. The store owner was very nice to him. He lit a cigarette for Kiba, then asked him about the trip. As they were chatting, Kiba saw a familiar figure from afar. It was the old lady who Kiba had previously encountered on the road. The shop owner said a tragic incident had caused the old woman to be mentally unstable. Kiba's curiosity was satisfied as he finally understood why she was acting bizarrely. Kiba then told the owner about their previous encounter. He even asked the man to tell him what had exactly happened to her. But the man's face instantly changed color. He extinguished his cigarette, refusing to tell Kiba the story. The man told Kiba to be extremely careful passing through the forest, then hurriedly got inside the store. As Kiba rarely had an overnight trip like this one, he decided to go sightseeing way until it was late at night, then began to go home. That night it was pouring with rain, yet Kiba still cheerfully sang while driving his truck on the road. As Kiba nearly got out of the forest, he saw a woman holding a black umbrella walking in the rain. As he came closer to the woman, he realized she was carrying a baby that seemed to be sick. He stopped the car and asked them. It turned out that they were heading to the hospital. The woman asked Kiba if he could give them a lift to the place. Since Kiba was a kind person, he agreed to help them. Kiba opened the door for the two to get in. Then he gave them a towel to dry themselves off. Since Kiba was new here, he asked the woman to show him the way to the nearest hospital. The woman showed Kiba the way to the hospital. The car kept rolling on the road under the heavy rain. 30 minutes later, they finally arrived at the hospital gate. Kiba instantly breathed a sigh of relief. He got out of the truck and opened the door for the two. The woman expressed her gratitude to Kiba, then walked away. Tom wasn't in a hurry to leave soon, as he stood there looking at the two until he no longer saw them. Later, Kiba got on his truck, only to find out that the woman had forgotten her black umbrella. As he stuck his head out of the window, something bizarre immediately caught his attention. The woman was still there to be seen with her sickened son, but somehow they faded in and out of view. What was even more terrifying, as Kiba turned his gaze upon the hospital gate, he was startled to see a line that said, "Hospital of the Dead," while the mother taking her son inside. Sensing something spooky was taking place, Kiba quickly drove away. But the man didn't think much about it, as his only concern now was to return home as soon as possible. The parking lot was pretty far from his house. Since it was raining heavily, he had to use the black umbrella that was left in his truck. However, Kiba was a bit hesitant to take it as he remembered it was of the freaky woman and the son. The man wasn't sure if he would use it. A while later, Kiba finally made his decision as he took the umbrella to keep him from getting wet on his way home. Not knowing if it was the strong winds that affected the umbrella, Kiba was constantly being carried away by it. Not only that, while the man was making his way home, out of nowhere a block of wood suddenly fell from above. A loud noise was heard. Kiba could feel something hitting hard on the umbrella, yet didn't do any damage to him as the object had bounced off. Kiba fell on the ground while the wood was being thrown to the side. And so was the umbrella. How lucky for Kiba, the umbrella had saved his life. It was a close shave for Kiba as he just got slightly injured arm. Kiba had a hunch that the woman had deliberately left her black umbrella in order for it to save his life. The man couldn't help but tremble as he recalled the nasty incident. The therapist was also filled with fear as he listened to Kiba's story. Kiba pulled on his cigarette, then continued with his story. The next morning, Kiba drove back to the grocery store. He intended to see the owner and ask him about the woman, as he believed the man must know something about her. Having no other choice, the shop owner had to reveal his secret to Kiba. It turned out that the woman and the son were actually spirits. 5 years ago, on a stormy night, the woman was seen walking on the road holding her son. She asked people for a ride to the hospital, but no one stopped and helped her. Feeling helpless, the woman kept walking. Many cars were seen on the road, but no one bothered to stop and help them. There was even a vehicle driving into a muddy puddle and splashed dirty water on the two. The woman used her body to cover her child. However, she had unfortunately slipped and fallen down the cliff. The person who drove the vehicle instantly left the scene after witnessing the whole incident. The woman and the child died afterwards due to excessive bleeding as they hit their heads on rocks while falling down. The old lady, unable to bear with the excruciating pain of losing her daughter and grandson, became crazy shortly after that. Ever since the horrific accident, the villagers usually saw her holding a black umbrella speaking nonsense. And for the one who caused the accident, one day, as he drove past this area, he accidentally hit his car into a house. The man ended up being arrested. Also had his involvement with the accident that took the lives of a woman and a child exposed. Those who went to the road in rainy days were likely to see a woman carrying her child while holding an umbrella. If a driver refused to give her a lift to her desired destination, she would mysteriously get into their car and scare them to death. And for that reason, no one dared to go to the forest at midnight. After telling Kiba everything he needed to know about the woman, the shop owner suggested him visiting their graves. Kiba then went to their graves. He returned the umbrella to them, then thanked them for saving his life. Thanks to his kindness, the spirits of the woman and the child had saved them from death. Since that day, Kiba always held a belief that ghosts actually existed in real life.